Hey guys, Rinji here. Once again, bring you Twitter troubles, where I explore the worst and most interesting interactions on the platform X, formerly Twitter. As a preamble, dear viewers, I'm a big Uma Musume fan. I got into the franchise in 2018 when the first anime season aired, and that's 3 years before the actual game released in Japan, and many years before the game released in global for all the English speaking users to enjoy. And I grew fond of the series. I grew fond of it because of the interesting characters. I grew fond of it because of the banger music and idol-like performances that the Umamusume girls put on after winning their races. It's all very good fun. I do believe it's one of the best written series out there, especially when it comes to the Uma Musume stories, both in the anime seasons as well as in the game and all the other spin-off material, especially manga. I'm also a huge fan of the manga Cinderella Grey and the subsequent anime adaptation, which is phenomenal. I usually compare it to the Blue Lock of horse racing because that's pretty much what it feels like, and it's great. I highly recommend it. But with that all of that out of the way, there has been some unfortunate things happening not that long ago on X, and it stars everyone's least favorite organization. That is PETA. Yeah, that PETA. The organization known for quote-unquote rescuing animals and animal advocacy, which does terrible things behind the scenes while never really addressing them properly, especially publicly. It's usually very hush-hush and people have to find out about it. From news sources, like from articles that were posted on mainstream media, or how you do it nowadays via social media. And what this does this charitable organization that is supposed to rescue animals and promote animal welfare do? Well, they kidnap animals, they euthanize them under the guise of quote-unquote rescue, saying that it's more humane to just kill them off. They steal animals that they find to be unattended for 5 seconds of people's porches. Yes, that kind of thing does happen. They run all kinds of quote-unquote animal shelters where they're like glorified gas chambers, pretty much, where they mass kill all the animals that they capture in the wild, instead of, giving them out to caring owners. But it's faster, probably more economical for them to do that, which is terrible if you really think about it. And how does this all tie into Uma Musume? Well, they decided to go after Uma Musume because that's, I guess, pretty good rage bait. PETA on social media, on all of their accounts, the official and the UK one especially, is known for posting rage bait for interactions, posting the most unhinged, illogical and irrational takes that you may find. Like the habit, and I do think it's a fetish at this point, of one of these accounts, or at least the accounts run by the same social media manager or intern, if you want to call them that, might not be anyone more important than that, is posting weird gore art of things like humans getting eaten for Thanksgiving dinner, and other iterations of that. This person or these people that run these accounts, they really, really love their gore. And trust me, as someone that has been on the internet for quite a long time, I recognize fetish art when I see it, and a lot of the shit that they post has that kind of skew to me. I don't think it's only meant for propaganda. I think it's meant for something else on top of that. But going on to today's topic, this is what PETA decided to do. Going after Uma Musume with an image of one of the characters in the game, showing them with a open leg fracture. Yes, that's Silence Suzuka. A horse, an actual horse. I'm talking about the actual horse here. A horse that famously had to be euthanized after suffering a devastating, critical, and later on determined to be fatal injury in the leg while running in the 1998, I do believe that was Tenno Show. I might be wrong, I don't remember correctly. Either way, the actual horse had to be euthanized because when horses suffer injuries of their legs to this degree, if they do survive for some time, they live in pain for most of their lives, which is not, very not optimal for a horse, or they simply die because horses cannot lie down for extended periods of time. They're gonna get heart attacks or worse, gonna get all kinds of problems. Horses need to be able to walk, horses need to be able to run in order to stay healthy. And that's a little lesson for you animal fans out there. But PETA, only caring about propaganda and nothing more, decided to go after Umamusume and tackle them on that fact that they aren't being honest in the portrayal of the characters and the horses they're based on in this type of fiction. Let's see what the official PETA account has written. If Uma Musume pre-derby was honest, your favorite horse girl doesn't get a comeback arc. One failed event and the race is over forever, just like what happened to the real Silence Suzuka. Showing that very upsetting gore image of Silence Suzuka screaming with her leg being broken. Very bloody, but again I censored it for your and my own benefit. And the caption here says, if the Uma Musume pre-debut was honest, in real life the horse Silence Suzuka suffered a catastrophic injury in a race and was euthanized. And they're saying here that Uma Musume isn't honest about the fate of the horses because if you know anything about Uma Musume, you know that the fate of the horses in the franchise is shown as something very positive. All the horses that actually existed in real life, they get stories in which they are able to race or recover from their injuries and usually make comebacks in some way. This is also the case for Silence Suzuka. Her actual race, where the actual horse had to be euthanized after suffering that injury. The race is shown in a very similar fashion. It's a very devastating injury for Silence Suzuka, the character. But later on, she makes a full recovery after a very long time. Even goes abroad to compete with other Uma Musume and furthering her legend, because Silence Suzuka is one of those legendary horses, a frontrunner, meaning a horse that runs at the very front of the pack, usually with a huge lead, leading the rest of the pack. And Silence Suzuka was also one of those rare frontrunners that people call nowadays runaway frontrunners. Silence Suzuka was so powerful, she was so good at racing as a frontrunner that she usually got a huge lead before the pack after her. And that's pretty amazing. She usually won by many, many lengths, leaving all other horses in the dust. And it was really cool to run. If you ever want to see any of those horse racing videos and Silence Suzuka's best wins, they're all available on YouTube. You just have to search for it. There's a huge horse racing fan community out there in YouTube land, and you'll probably enjoy it. If you're not a big horse racing fan, I'm not, but some of these things are really cool to watch, especially if you want to see the context for what specific races got transferred over to Uma Musume and how they were portrayed. But all of that out of the way, PETA here doesn't believe that the horses, the characters in the franchise, deserve Cinderella-like stories, don't deserve their fairy tale endings, and wants to keep Cygames honest about the fate of the horses. So, according to PETA, Silent Suzuka here should have been euthanized when she suffered that leg fracture. But again, PETA doesn't believe in good storytelling. PETA doesn't believe in wish fulfillment. It's all about, furthering that propaganda. Essentially, horse racing bad, and it should be portrayed as accurate as possible. And again, not a big horse racing expert here, but there are some cases of horses being abused in horse racing. You can get into the discussion of morality and ethics of actually breeding horses for racing purposes. But there's also positive sides to it, as a lot of the horses that do get to race, even the smaller winners, we're not talking about the biggest money earners here, they usually get a very good life after retirement, and even during their racing careers. They are cared for, they get a lot of fans, and they get a very good treatment in the stables where they retire, usually living to very old ages, usually 30, which is like I do not believe I've seen any no mentions of a horse living more than 30 years. That's their usual maximum lifespan, but a lot of these race horses do manage to reach that age, and they look pretty healthy, at least until the moment they die, that is. But you may be wondering, like, what the hell happened after this? Well, you can probably imagine that fans of Uma Musume and Cygames in general weren't very happy about the statement from fear-mongering, rage-baiting PETA. Well, they had a lot of things to say. Adding the official Cygames public relations Twitter account, saying, "I smell a lawsuit." And why do they say that? Well, it's going to be explained very, very soon. Please let Uma Musume be the thing that kills PETA. It'd be so fucking funny. Please God, let this happen, because it would be so fucking fun. And then here a user links this. "I believe this post violates guidelines number 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7 as linked below, trivializing the tragedy of Silent Suzuka for their own gain." And yes, unlike many other Cygames or many other properties, intellectual properties out there that use real people or real creatures that actually existed in their games and other elements of the franchise, Uma Musume has a pretty strict fan created content guidelines. So let's read through them so you guys can properly understand why a lot of people are adding Cygames and saying that PETA is about to get in trouble. Fan-created content guidelines as presented by the official page of Uma Musume in English. Uma Musume Pretty Derby fan-created content guidelines. Please refer to the below guidelines when creating artistic works related to Uma Musume Pretty Derby. Many of the characters found in Uma Musume Pretty Derby are based on real-life racehorses from horse racing history, and their names borrowed with the permission of their respective owners. It is thanks to the cooperation of those owners, the horses' fans, and many others that we have been able to bring each Uma Musume to life. Such any works that could have harmed or otherwise discomfort any of the above parties will not be tolerated. As part of this stance, we kindly ask that fans avoid the sharing or usage of works with any Uma Musume Pretty Derby elements that meet the following criteria. Number 1. Works made with the intent to injure the reputation of this franchise or other third parties. As you can clearly see from that previous image that I showed you of Silent Suzuka, this would qualify as that. It certainly goes after Uma Musume, calling the franchise dishonest. Works of a violent, sexual, or otherwise obscene nature. This also qualifies because Silent Suzuka gore, pretty much. And this is also one of the reasons why you don't see that much Uma Musume R18 artwork out there, which is unfortunate because those horses are banging, dear viewers. These horses are banging. That's why there's a huge market for AI creation with these characters. This shitload of that, if you know where to look. But otherwise, people try to skirt these lines, especially as the sexual content is involved. Drawing very lewd artwork that is still within the guidelines, I guess, or maybe Cygames for the most part doesn't care for those depictions, but it's like a case-by-case basis. I've seen an artist, a very popular artist out there, get DMCA'd essentially by Cygames because they posted one of the characters kissing the trainer character from the game, or at least their version of that trainer from the game. And Cygames, and considering that image got pretty popular, Cygames didn't very much like that, which sucks. I think they overstep what they try to censor, and that gets them in trouble quite a bit as well. So I'm not happy with how they treat some of the fan works, but you know, some of them clearly are meant to defame Cygames and aren't made out of love. But for a lot of these cases, I do not think Cygames differentiates. It's all the matter of whether the owner of the horse is satisfied with what they see, I guess. But who knows, they never really go into all that much detail about what the horse owners think. I do know for a fact that some horse owners are very open to more raunchy kinds of content, starting the Uma Musumes. I do vaguely remember there being a story, unverified probably, of the owner of Daiwa Scarlet saying that unless Daiwa Scarlet gets bigger tits in the game, it's a no-go. Something like that. But a lot of it sounds like fan fiction that fans have spun in order to just, you know, make up very funny stories. But considering like what some Uma Musume look like in the actual game, in other elements of the franchise, like Fuji Kiseki just outright has her breasts out almost all of the time in her official racing outfit, I do imagine, and I kind of think that's on the behalf of the owner of said horse. This conversation probably went something like, so, you know, Cygames, unless Fuji Kiseki has her tits out all the damn time, it's no-go. Tits or get the fuck out. That's probably how it went. But let's continue with these guidelines, because time is wasting. Works that advocate or criticize political views, religion, or ideology, or the use of derivative works for these purposes. You could kind of argue that PETA here is trying to push an ideology, because it kind of becomes very cultish with them, especially when it comes to promoting things like veganism or vegetarianism. And probably doesn't fall under these categories, but, you know, you never know. Number 4. Works that involve illegal activities or other inappropriate conduct. Could be also put under this point for the inappropriate conduct, considering, you know, they're still going after Cygames in that kind of fashion. 5. Works that infringe upon the rights of a third party. 6. Works or activities intended for commercial use or profit. commercial activity that exceeds the scope of fan-related activities. And I do believe PETA is trying to make money off of this, because PETA is a gold account. You pay hefty amounts of money for a gold account to actually have it, and you also earn a lot of money from engagement using that. So that also might be part of it, them using that Silent Suzuka image for profit. And lastly, number 7, works or the use of derivative works that might otherwise be deemed inappropriate when taken in the context of this list. So again, that counts. And there are further clarifications. The above guidelines were created in cooperation with the agencies that managed the registration of the real-life racehorses' names. Whether the content in question violates the above criteria will be up to discussion of Cygames Incorporated. Please be aware that Cygames Incorporated may pursue legal action if necessary. In addition, please note that we are unable to answer individual inquiries regarding these guidelines. Yeah, that's the one thing about this lacking transparency, and me mentioning that story of them going after that one artist that simply decided to draw. I do believe that was Majiro McQueen actually kissing their trainer with excellent art. I need to refollow and refine that artist, because their stuff was really, really good. And let's continue. These guidelines are not intended to discourage fan-created content or fan activities. Up to for your understanding and cooperation with upholding an environment that is fun and enjoyable for everyone. With your cooperation, the Umamusume project will continue to support real-life racehorses and honor their legacies. And believe it or not, this is not where it ended, because actual Japanese fans also got to comment on this. Here's one that's translated by Shin. A follower from overseas asked me to pass along that PETA, this is going too far in Japan, so I'm sharing it. It's understandable since Japan's etiquette for when manners are bad doesn't get across, but yeah, it's definitely crossing the line into R18G territory. G standing for gore, or Guro in this case. The content itself is well-intentioned, so it's something you might want to be more careful next time. Oh, no. PETA is not doing anything well-intentioned. Trust me on that one. It's all furthering their propaganda and going after what they perceive as the easiest target in order to rage bait, and as I mentioned before, likely to just make a hefty profit out of it from the engagement on these social media posts. And then there were other comments commenting about what PETA does in real life with animals. Did you guys take a dog off someone's porch and euthanize it? Yes, there is actually a news story about that, of PETA just taking a chihuahua off a porch because it was quote-unquote unattended, and then just taking it to a shelter and euthanizing it, because that's what you do, and that's what PETA does. There was more. Wow, that's so horrible. You know what else happened in your life? PETA killing 85% of the animals that enter their shelters. Showing a graph with Virginia shelter euthanized rate on 2023, with PETA going into the 80s on this one, as opposed to all other public shelters, on private shelters even, and other agencies combined. And that's for dogs, cats, and all animals that they managed to find being unattended. And then there's more. Remember that Chihuahua story that I was talking about? Yeah, someone actually mentioned that too. Right. PETA says sorry for taking girl's pet Chihuahua and putting it down. Animal rights group pays $49K to settle a lawsuit after it seized dog called Maya, which belonged to 9-year-old. Congratulations. You are retarded. Today, you decided to do the biggest blunder of your entire career, PETA. You did some wrong moves in the past. Targeting the Umamusume community is going to be your demise. First rule of the community: do not the horses. Or do not the horse. Enjoy your lawsuit. And of course, the Spanish-speaking Uma Musume fandom, which I actually kind of respect for the most part. I do not like the English-speaking one all too much because it's filled with terminally online children that are mostly tourists that don't know anything about this game. But the Spanish speakers, they're usually from Latin America, they seem to be cool, at least the ones I've seen. And they posted the following meme. This one's relating to Meisho Doto and them gathering funds for a new stable for the actual Doto horse. And yeah, fans of Uma Musume and fans of horse racing in general have been incredibly generous when it comes to supporting their horses that are still alive in retirement. And Meisho Doto was one of the recipients of such treatment, getting a new stables founded in like a day or less, gathering shitload of money in order to help Dodo. But here is here's the meme, the trainer from the anime saying that we did it, Dodo, and then there's PETA below saying that if it was me, Dodo, you would be dead. Which is very true. It's very true. PETA would not tolerate that. And then PETA just Saibao. Just Saibao, PETA. Just get the fuck out. And hundreds of other posts of such nature. A lot of them being very, very not YouTube friendly, unfortunately. So I cannot show a lot of them, but you can imagine there's a lot of people calling on C Games to just sue the ass of PETA and just finally end them. I don't think something so drastic is gonna happen, but it would be very funny to see that PETA finally getting into very real trouble from someone that actually has money to take them to task and actually inflict some damage on this terrible organization. But Uma Musume fans will continue to thrive. Lately, there has been a lot of happenings. The Cinderella Grey anime has been airing. It has been fantastic. Oguri Cap has also gotten a new version based on the Cinderella Grey manga, which is close to its ending, and with a fantastic new costume. So Uma Musume fans, both global ones and Japanese ones, are eating quite good. And I hope they continue to eat good, and I hope PETA chokes on their vegan crap. But for now, it's everything. Hope to see you on the next one.